Sometimes what appears to be a strategic investment reveals itself as a costly miscalculation. Fans are enamored with redemption arcs, but the sobering reality is this: not everyone earns nor warrants a second shot. Still, front offices continue to chase big names over actual production, clout over chemistry, and that's precisely where so many franchises falter, paralyzed by pride, finances, and the fear of admitting they were wrong. But before we dive in, if you're committed to staying in the loop on everything New York Yankees, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Now, what happens when a controversial decision, one that defies conventional wisdom, ends up being exactly what the franchise needed? That's what just unfolded in the Bronx. It might sound counterintuitive at first, but this moment could become the jolt this team so desperately needed. Flashback to January 2024. The Yankees believed they had secured a dependable veteran to stabilize the rotation, handing Marcus Stroman a 2-year, $37 million deal. The fan base was split. Some were drawn to his energy and past all-star accolades. Others couldn't shake the memories of his erratic track record. Still, with Garrett Cole leading the charge, Stroman was supposed to be a reliable mid-rotation option. Not a splashy signing, but on paper it seemed solid. Beneath the surface, however, trouble was already simmering. Stroman's 2024 stats weren't abysmal, but they didn't justify the price tag either. A 10-9 record, a 4.31 ERA, and a mediocre 1.9 strikeout to walk ratio painted a clearer picture. Yes, he started 29 games demonstrating durability, but the sharpness, swagger, and command were missing. He was a placeholder in the rotation, not a postseason weapon. And behind closed doors, the Yankees were beginning to grasp the inconvenient truth. This wasn't the man to lean on when the stakes soared. That truth became undeniable by October. As the Yankees clawed their way toward the World Series, you'd expect a $37 million pitcher to be in the heat of battle. Instead, Stroman wasn't even on the playoff roster, not for the Division Series, not for the Fall Classic. And that silence spoke volumes. No press conference, no carefully worded statement could overshadow what the roster itself declared. When it mattered most, the Yankees didn't trust him. Have you ever tried to repair a failing engine with duct tape? Exactly. In both life and baseball, we often resort to temporary patches for problems that demand far more radical solutions. The Yankees' signing of Marcus Stroman was precisely that, a hasty, almost impulsive maneuver to correct a much deeper miscalculation. And now, months later, the organization has finally stopped pretending everything was under control. Stroman's release isn't just another transactional footnote. It symbolizes the conclusion of a failed chapter, one that began questionably, unraveled quickly, and ended with a cocktail of exasperation and quiet relief. It resembled that relationship you know is doomed from the outset, yet you stick around hoping something will magically shift. It didn't, and the Yankees finally declared enough. Marcus Stroman is gone, and with him, one of the most perplexing experiments in recent Bronx memory. But this isn't merely a video about a player's departure. It's a story of transformation, a turning point for the Yankees' rotation, a tale of difficult decisions, of bold next steps, and perhaps the courage it takes to admit a costly mistake and pivot forward with greater conviction. It all began with a seemingly benign move. A veteran released, 3 fresh bullpen arms signed, Ian Hamilton and Yerry De Los Santos optioned to AAA. A routine midseason roster shuffle, right? Wrong. What the Yankees executed on Friday was a full-throated, unapologetic declaration of change. It's not every day a franchise walks away from $18.5 million without hesitation, but that's exactly what Brian Cashman and his team did, deeming Stroman's roster spot more precious than any remaining salary on paper. This decision wasn't impulsive. It was calculated, layered, brick by brick. It traces back to the offseason loss of Yoshinobu Yamamoto to the Dodgers, the most coveted arm on the global market, a Japanese phenom built to anchor any rotation for the next decade. The Yankees went all in but fell short. And in that desperation, They defaulted to the most accessible option. Enter Marcus Stroman, a recognizable name, a recent all-star, a pitcher with charisma, a fiery mound presence, and a respectable resume, but also a man showing signs of undeniable physical regression, especially over his last 2 seasons. Still, Cashman gambled 2 years, $37 million at a fair risk for a proven vet. Stroman had done it before, pitched under pressure, handled big markets. Maybe in the right environment, he could rediscover his magic. He didn't. With each underwhelming start, patience eroded, the front office tightened, the fan base soured. The statistics told the story: a 4.69 ERA across 193.2 innings, the 11th worst among qualified starters since the beginning of 2024. A stuff plus rating of 86, 4th worst in the league. Fastball velocity averaging 90.4 mph, 3rd slowest in all of MLB. But beyond the data, what stung was the inertia. Stroman wasn't evolving, he wasn't adjusting, he was stagnating, and whispers turned into concern. Even Aaron Boone, typically the diplomat-in-chief, delivered pointed commentary. He's got to command both sides of the plate. You can't just stay on one side. Translation: veteran status isn't enough. Reputation means little if you're not producing. And Stroman, whether due to wear and tear, injuries, or diminished drive, simply couldn't meet the moment. The final blow came with knee inflammation that sidelined him for 2 months. Upon his return, he was worse than ever. The contract clause that extended his deal through 2026 if he surpassed 140 innings. A moot point. He wouldn't even come close. With the Yankees rapidly reconfiguring the roster, his presence became a liability. The organization moved swiftly. The bullpen, once a glaring weakness, was fortified in under 48 hours. Camilo Doval, acquired from the Giants, brings elite-level dominance and postseason caliber swagger. David Bednar, previously with the Pirates, boasts a devastating curveball and consistent output since 2022. Jake Bird, a quieter but meaningful pickup, offers depth and composure. Together, these bullpen reinforcements shift more than matchups. They recalibrate the entire mindset of the franchise. But the real metamorphosis is unfolding in the starting rotation. With Marcus Stroman officially out of the picture, 2 names immediately seize the spotlight. Luis Gil, returning to the mound Sunday against the Marlins, and Cam Schlittler, an unheralded rookie quietly commanding the attention of those who truly understand the intricacies of the game. Gil, already familiar to the fan base, represents the more stable option. He's logged MLB innings. He's faced high-pressure scenarios. His arsenal, while not overwhelming, is enough to stabilize a rotation in transition. But it's Schlittler who introduces intrigue. He's not a household name. He doesn't carry the prestige of a first-round pick. He's absent from most top prospect rankings, and yet he's creating a buzz. Why? Because when you clock 9.94 on the radar gun, you're not just throwing, you're announcing your arrival. That fastball is a missile, but even more impressive is his composure. In games where things didn't go his way, Schlittler didn't unravel. He adjusted, he listened, he evolved. He showcased resilience and personality, 2 traits you can't teach but desperately need if you're going to survive in pinstripes. Of course, he remains a work in progress. His slider and changeup still need refinement, but the raw potential is undeniable. And in a season where the Yankees are finally showing they're done waiting on veterans with worn-out resumes, this feels different. Aaron Boone didn't dance around it either. We believe Adam Warren and Cam Schlittler are ready to join the rotation full-time. With more moves likely coming, this was the right moment to act. And what moment is this? It's the turning point. The moment when the Yankees stop pretending the old formula works. The moment they accept that building a rotation around aging names and safe contracts has led nowhere. Maybe, just maybe, the solution lies within. In the farm system, in the hungry underdogs with something to prove, Stroman may land elsewhere, perhaps as a middle reliever for a contender or a low-risk starter for a rebuilding club. But his Bronx tenure will be remembered as one of the most frustrating of the last decade, not due to a lack of effort, but due to a lack of results. And in New York, results are the only currency that matters. This city and this franchise don't hand out second chances. The leash is short. Perform or be replaced. For fans, there's a sobering truth here, but also a spark of optimism. Because for once, it feels like the Yankees heard you. No more clinging to bloated contracts, no more praying washed up names will magically rebound. It's time to take calculated risks, to lean into the unknown, to let the next generation seize the moment. Whether Cam Schlittler is the answer or not remains to be seen. But the fact that he's getting the opportunity, that's monumental, because this deadline wasn't just about stockpiling arms. It was about reshaping the Yankees' identity. It was about proving that failure doesn't have to be dragged across the finish line of a contract. Sometimes the strongest move is the one that says we're starting over, even if it costs $18.5 million. So now we ask you, the fans, what do you think of this decision? Is Cam Schlittler ready to rise? Can Luis Gil be trusted down the stretch? Will Bednar and Doval anchor this bullpen in October? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you found this breakdown insightful, and subscribe because we're just getting started. In the coming days, we'll dive into the new pieces, the pivotal matchups, and the real playoff outlook for this revamped Yankees squad. Because if this move proved anything, it's this: no one is untouchable when performance vanishes. Not even Marcus Stroman. See you in the next video, Yankees Nation. The NACU guys, see you next video.